My name is Flávia Dias de Souza Moraes, and I am a lecturer in Geosciences at Georgia State, specializing in climatology. Climate change science is an interdisciplinary study of the causes and the consequences of climate change on Earth. It is very difficult to understand climate change and its environmental impacts if we do not combine multiple disciplines to address this issue. This is because multiple factors influence climate change, such as the circulation and chemical composition of our atmosphere and oceans, the land mass distribution, the distribution of population on Earth, and the associated human, economic, and political activities, how effective is climate change communication, as well as our culture and way of life. Therefore, one discipline cannot cover all aspects of climate change and its environmental impacts alone. My current research focuses on investigating drought in the insular Caribbean and its historical and future climate impacts on water resources and agriculture. There are three aspects of drought being studied to analyze how this climatic event changes over time. One focus is to analyze the intensity and spatial distribution of drought events in the insular Caribbean since 1950, to understand if those events are becoming stronger and more widespread in the region. The second goal is to analyze the effect of drought on water resources and Puerto Rico's water balance. The third and final goal is to project future temperature and precipitation changes in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands to investigate how those changes will affect the water available for agriculture. One of the most well-known impacts of climate change is rising temperatures, and Metro Atlanta is not an exception in this case. Past studies indicated an increase in Atlanta's average temperature in all seasons, which may expose our population to heat waves and the famous heat island effect. We know that extreme heat is very dangerous and is one of the leading causes of weather-related deaths in the United States. Together with heat waves, other Metro Atlanta's top climate hazards are projected to increase their intensity by 2050 due to climate change, such as precipitation, warming, water deficit, and drought events. Climate change and its impacts are affecting the entire Earth and every living organism on our planet. Therefore, our students at Georgia State are also being affected by the effects of climate change. For example, students who live in the Metro Atlanta area are directly exposed to the increased intensity of heat waves, flooding, drought, and tornadoes, just to mention a few climate-related events. Although most of the events that I mentioned have an evident impact on us, people may think of drought as a distant and less intense type of event. However, drought can be a silent and dangerous hazard that directly impacts GSU students and access to water and affordable food. This is because drought affects soil moisture and water reservoirs, impacting water availability and agriculture, which results in water shortages and increased food price. More expensive food limits our students' access to healthy food, such as vegetables and fruits, which directly impacts their quality of life. To make a positive impact on climate change, I would recommend that our students adopt some behaviors that can make a difference, such as turning off lights when leaving a room to decrease power usage, preferring to shop local and avoiding long-distance shipping processes to reduce the greenhouse gases emitted by transportation, reducing shopping altogether and reusing goods for different purposes, and joining a community organization to engage with climate action. At the university level, one practical piece of advice would be to adapt GSU buildings to be more energy efficient by changing the lamps they use and have a sustainable use of water by collecting rainfall to use in the toilets. There are several examples of carbon zero buildings in the United States to get us inspired. Geography connects to several disciplines because it focuses on the spatial relationship between people and the environment. Geography, for example, can connect to finance to explain why the home insurance market in Florida is in such disarray. Together, those disciplines can establish the connections between population distribution, increase in extreme weather events, and local public policies.